It's week 3 now of public speaking, and this week we are going to take a look at introductions and conclusions. It seems like that would be a pretty easy concept to understand, but there are some very definite things you want to do in the introduction. There's some very definite things you want to do in your conclusion. They aren't just afterthoughts to your speech and everything you really mean is in the main body. The introduction serves a very distinct purpose. The conclusion also has a very distinct purpose, and they're all important elements of the speeches. So this week you're going to look at how do you put together an introduction? What elements need to be there? And the same with the conclusions. What do you need to say in your conclusion? What do you need to cover? The impact that you have on your audience is important in both introductions and conclusions. So we're going to look at all that kind of stuff. As far as assignments, this is your free week from the speaking standpoint. You do not have a speech to do this week. This is the only week of the semester that is true. You will need to submit your process speech topic, and that's simply just so that I know ahead of time what's coming, and also I can weed out anybody that puts in a simple subject like I want to do a process speech on how to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich. That's way too easy. And also that all of the subjects they meet the requirements for a process speech, because we do have people sometimes who don't quite get what needs to be done for a process speech. So you will need to submit your process speech. As I see them get entered, I will go and either mark them approved or have questions about them on the grading, where I normally put comments down in the bottom of the grade. So you'll want to look for that. You will also do your first self-evaluation on your leisure time mini speech. So you'll have to go back and watch yourself and answer some questions there that are listed in the assignment instructions. You will also do a peer review. So once all of the speeches are submitted by Sunday night at 11:59, the system will automatically generate someone for you to go in and watch their speech. And that's why it's so important that you follow the guidelines for recording and submitting speeches. We had several people submit speeches for the first week that weren't submitted correctly, and what happens then is the peer reviews don't work properly, and we start taking points off for that. So you've got to submit them correctly using the Google Drive for Ivy Tech and sharing that link. So you will go in and you will be assigned a fellow classmate to review their speech. You're going to use the same rubric I used to grade them. And in that first peer review assignment instructions, there is a video that briefly talks about what you're looking for and what you want to do in a peer review. So please take a look at that. You will also have an assignment called the Case for Short Words. We tend, especially when we are giving speeches and we're trying to impress people and show them how smart we are, we have a tendency to try to use big words because we think, hey, if we sound like we know what we're talking about and we're using these great big words, people are like, oh, yeah, they really know what they're talking about. In reality, audiences get put off by that. Audiences want people talking to them who are using conversational type language. It's the stuff they hear every day when they're talking to other people, and it works better if you want to get an audience interested and get your point across. So in that assignment, there is a sample paragraph, and your assignment is to reduce all the words in that. The ultimate goal would be to do all of them in single syllable words. I've only ever had one student successfully do that. There is an example of that same sentence done with a minimal number of multisyllable words, and you have to have 10 or less. But that is just sort of give you a guidelines. Do not submit that paragraph either. I will catch that, and that's going to be a 0. But you want to reword the entire paragraph so that it's as many single syllable words as possible, and you want to keep it less than 10. I will count. It is surprising sometimes that people don't realize some words are multiple syllables when they actually are, and they don't count them. But you'll see in the instructions you're to underline the ones that are multisyllable and keep it under 10. You will also have a discussion on topics and visual aids and coming up with different kinds of topics for different subjects. This relates to the discussion that we had. You're also going to look at that this week. Topics, how to come up with topics, how to generate ideas, that kind of thing. And so one of the exercises of the discussion board is to generate different types of topics for different categories. It's mainly just to get your mind thinking along that way. But you'll want to do that. And then, of course, there is the quiz. And then next week, week 4, we will be back into speeches and you will have your process speech to do. I did want to take a minute and say, so this is Friday afternoon of week 2 as I'm recording this. And I did just go back and take a look at what we've done in the previous week. So week 1, I did a live session, talked about speech anxiety. I had one student attend that, and I posted the link. And so far, as of 3 o'clock this Friday afternoon of week 2, no one has watched that video. And I did another live session on Tuesday of this week, and I talked about outlining. I got very deep into outlining. I gave you a sample outline in that recording, showed you what they need to look like, that kind of thing. And as of 3 o'clock Friday afternoon of week 2, no one's looked at that either. So it's very clear to me that the live sessions aren't really doing what they were originally intended to do. They were intended to give you some additional tools and some insight into areas of the course that are deemed very important. Nobody's using that tool at all. I am right now considering not doing a live session at all in week 3, since they take about 30 minutes to an hour to record, plus I've got the prep time for it, and then I've got the processing time afterwards. And if no one's going to pay attention to it, there's not much point in me doing that. I also have put up quite a few quick tips. I've tried to make them interesting at the same time. I've noticed that somewhere between 2 and 4 people have looked at those quick tips from both weeks. The most I've had is one quick tip had 4 different people look at it, and that's it. And so I'm going to also rethink about whether I'm going to do any quick tips, or I might do 1 or 2, but I am probably going to scale that back as well, because it doesn't appear that anybody really wants them. They're there as tools. They're certainly not required. Usually I have students, 3 or 4 students that do pay attention to them every week. That doesn't seem to be the case here, so I will probably discontinue them. If you want help with something, shoot me an email or get me in virtual office hours, and I can certainly rethink that, or I can talk you through on a one-to-one basis through topics and that kind of thing. But and the online school has promoted these live sessions a lot, hoping that it would give students an opportunity to interact with the instructors more and to feel like it was more like a face-to-face type class. And it just doesn't seem to be working out that way. So as I said, I'm probably going to discontinue the live sessions unless I suddenly see a lot of feedback that, hey, no, I want this, or I see that maybe over the weekend I find out that a whole bunch of people watch them over the weekends, but it doesn't appear to be the case so far. So that's it for the week. I am looking forward to as I do this, you haven't turned in all your Leisure Time mini speeches yet, but I am looking forward to those. I really like the first week's speeches. I will say that you want to pay attention to the guidelines. I put a note out. I had one student actually contact me about this. The video that's downloaded from central office for this class for how to do the speech submissions is not very clear. And I redid one myself and walked you through the process as far as I'm allowed to, because I don't have student access, on how to submit a speech. And I did that, and I put that in the guidelines. So go back and watch that. And please make sure that you're submitting them correctly. I will take points off from every speech going forward, because I went through, if you go back through your speeches, you'll see I put comments, I put notes at the bottom and that kind of thing. And if they weren't submitted correctly, I noted that. And so that if that continues, there will be points taken off for that. I had some others who did it beautifully. I had some really good speeches. I can tell you that as you get the peer reviews, you're going to see some of your classmates do some really good jobs. I had one speech in the first group where a student, I'm not going to name anybody, but one student used gestures just magnificently. And I made a comment to that student in the grading, but it was fantastic to see someone that good at doing this. So you're going to be able to pick up a lot of things from watching each other. It's one of the reasons that we made that a requirement. You almost learn as much from watching fellow classmates go through this as you learn yourselves. And you learn a lot from watching yourself, even though everybody hates that particular part of it. It does help you. And I even go back and watch these videos. So it's something that it's a good habit to get into. So that's it for the week. I will see you as the week progresses. If you got any questions, shoot me an email or I'll catch you in virtual office hours. Have a great week.